So I thought I would start this hot take where it makes the most sense, and that is behind the wheel of this awesome car. And if for some reason you didn't see the title of the video or the thumbnail or anything to do with it, this is the 2021 Lexus RC-F Track Edition. And as is the case with any Lexus product that has this engine, the experience is dominated by this engine. Literally just split my lip laughing so hard at the engine. That's how good this engine is. So the immediate question when you're considering a car like this is the price tag of $100,000. Is this Lexus Track Edition of the RC-F worth the hefty premium over the regular RC-F? No, it isn't, but yes, it is. Let me explain this little bit of insanity. The RC-F Track Edition is composed of a number of little changes that all work together to make this car just a little bit sharper, a little bit more dialed in, and definitely a lot more special than the RC-F. From the outside, you obviously notice the carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber roof, and pretty awesome looking carbon fiber wing on the back with a sort of opposing weave F on each side of it, which is just a fantastic idea. And then you turn onto the handling road here and you think, well, what's this RC-F Track Edition gonna be like on the handling road? Is it literally going to shatter all of your skeleton into minute little pieces and then you're vacuumed up by a Dyson vacuum cleaner?
The problem, however, is more serious.
Actually, no. In regular mode, it feels pretty fantastic, actually. This is the first section where it's really bumpy and rough and in poor condition, and it's great. This is the first curve in normal mode, and it's pretty flat, nothing to complain about. This car is sports sedan comfortable in normal mode. In fact, I would argue it's almost too relaxed in normal mode. The steering is extremely relaxed. The throttle pedal's almost too relaxed. You have to actually kind of shove it a bit to get the car moving. I prefer driving it in sport mode, where the suspension retains some of its suppleness, but the steering and the throttle pedal feel a little bit sharper. Coming up to the big bump right here, in normal mode, that was literally nothing. Literally like a marshmallow on top of a pillow top mattress on top of a chinchilla, or a lot of chinchillas. A single chinchilla would probably die. And it just is incredible that it feels so comfortable. The sort of breadth of capability in this car in terms of its sort of suspension and driver interface is really quite impressive. And then after you get over that, you drop the hammer and you get that 472 horsepower, 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, the same one in the RC-F, the same one in the LC500 and 500 convertible. It's just so good. It never gets old. The engine note is perfect. That perfect balance I spoke of in the LC500 and LC500 convertible review. It's somewhere between AMG bravado and sort of a higher revving, kind of like Ferrari-ish kind of rip. Definitely not as baritone as like a Corvette, not as nasally as a Mustang. It's just so perfect, so just right in the middle, Goldilocks perfection. And the titanium mufflers, by the way, the titanium exhaust system, which is gonna kind of blue out over time as it gets older with age and heat, it's gonna turn more blue. Awesome. And that kind of sums up this car like sort of in a nutshell. There's just so many things that allow you to overlook the things that maybe aren't so great. For example, this car has a semi-dated interior. Now on the plus side, it is finished in this awesome red leather and Alcantara. The fit and finish is typical perfection that you'd expect from Lexus. Everything you touch, including this amazing F-Sport steering wheel, is fantastic. The seats are just superb. I love F-Sport seats. They hit me in all the right places in my messed up back. They might even be better than my beloved Type R seats. I do actually think the seats in this could be even a little more aggressively bolstered considering what this thing is capable of doing, but they feel unbelievably good. You could drive this car for hours and hours and hours and never, ever, ever get tired. But you've got the fiddly slider kind of climate control system. You've got the dated infotainment and Lexus's trackpad. I don't hate the trackpad, but definitely I think Acura's version is better. I actually kind of like the concept, as I said in the MDX review, but the materials, they just feel so special. The red weave in the carbon fiber, when I had the RC-F Coupe and it had the sort of white silver carbon fiber look, it was great. This has red woven into the carbon fiber to match the seats. Yeah, just, The driving position for someone 6.5 feet tall is really, really good. The wheel comes out nice and far, which allows me to put the seat back, which allows me to get my legs in the proper position. Kind of makes you wish you had a manual because it would be so perfect in the driving position, but that's okay. Let's talk about that for a second. This car has an 8-speed automatic transmission, traditional torque converter automatic. It's not bad. In regular automatic mode, even in Sport Plus, it is a little reluctant to kick down. It's a little slow to kick down. Not reluctant to kick down, but it takes a second before it realizes that you've gone full ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed!
And it doesn't kick down quite, as quickly as you'd like. But put it into manual mode, and it responds pretty darn quickly. I would be curious to see next to something like the new M3 and M4, like if you measured shift times, what would the difference be in shift times? Because I bet there's probably not much of a difference. And even though this Lexus gauge cluster is getting kind of dated, there's still just no denying the sort of legibility, and I mean, if you want to say it's track focused, I mean, pretty much all Lexuses have gauges like this, so it's not exclusive to this model. But having that large central dial that becomes the tach and in Sport Plus mode kind of eliminates all distractions and just focuses on engine performance, it is still pretty darn cool. It doesn't do the moving thing that some of them do, which I kind of prefer, but it is very legible, easy to read at a glance, looks fantastic. I wish it had a little bit more kind of graphical, I don't know, flourish, I guess you would say. But overall, it's a really cool gauge. It still is a really cool gauge cluster. Also, one thing that I will mention, because I'm not going to demonstrate it because that would cause a horrendous accident, is that this car comes with carbon ceramic brakes. And they are roughly the size of a satellite dish. They are enormous carbon ceramic brakes, and they're a little touchy. The pedal always is touchy in Toyota Lexus products. I don't really understand why. It is firm when you get into it, but that initial bite is pretty like, jerk your head forward, and not in a like, I'm a track toy way, in a like, I'm not calibrated correctly kind of way, like all Toyota Lexus products. And then you come off a roundabout, you see an opening, and you just, oh man, that was in automatic mode too, and it was like, ba-bam! Good gracious, this engine is so much fun. It's just so joyous. It just makes you so happy because it feels like it could do this all day. It's got like 395 pound-feet of torque, so it's not like a torque monster, but there's something to be said for a naturally aspirated engine, especially in a market where they are rapidly disappearing. Now, right now, I actually have it in Sport Plus mode, and that really gets the steering pretty tight, pretty sharp. I almost think it could be a little quicker. The ratio could be a little quicker, like a little faster, because the car turns in pretty well. And there is grip. There is lots of grip, because this is riding on Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, which are just unbelievably good. The ride quality versus the grip level, it just doesn't even make sense. I don't even understand how it's possible that a tire this comfy could grip this tenaciously. Also, the track model comes with a Torsen limited slip differential, and the theory here is that it allows for a more mechanical feel, which allows for a little bit more driftability on a racetrack, that you could control it with this. And I don't have any trouble believing that. I am not on a track, so we're gonna chill out here. You'll also notice that in Sport Plus mode, the suspension is tight. Like, they are not playing around. It is incredibly harsh, and I am 100% fine with that. Do you know why I'm 100% fine with that? Because I could just do this. And now I'm in normal mode. And now I'm in a GT car, basically. It's just a Jekyll and Hyde kind of personality thing. And it's kind of ridiculous, but like, in just the best way. You really have to drive a car like this. I'm gonna put it back in sport mode because I really like the compromise of sport mode. We can get a little bit more exhaust noise, but it doesn't go like full bonkers on the suspension. Here's the thing. Is this car worth $100,000? Let's put it in manual mode just so you can kind of get the full experience here of the paddle shift. It gives you the beeps like shift, shift, shift. There's red lights on the tack, which I can't film because like that would be super dangerous. But it really, really does the track thing. I mean, you don't have any trouble believing that if you were to go out on a track in this car, that it would want to dance, it would want to play. Now, it is pretty heavy. It's like 3,800 pounds. That's not light. But if you compare it to the sort of big dog German competition, it's in there. The new M3 and M4 are a little lighter. I believe the Audi RS models are a little heavier. I mean, it's in that ballpark. But let's go back to the question I just posed. Is it worth 100 grand as Lexus's arguably highest performing model? Well, let me say this. As an enthusiast dad, because that's kind of the whole point of this channel, right? The enthusiast dad perspective. If I were a rich enthusiast dad and I had the disposable income to afford a car that I wanted to have fun in, but that could also still fulfill the duties of a dad, but I could only have one, but I could spend some money on one, but I was rich. This car would make a lot of sense. It has unbelievable performance. It has upgrades like the carbon ceramic brakes. It's got the killer looks with the carbon fiber hood, the carbon fiber wing. It's got just enough boy racerness. I will say this, actually, let me say this. In this pearlescent white paint, I didn't think I was really gonna like it, the white with the carbon fiber. I saw that dude in blue had this car and he tested it and I was like, I don't know if I like the look of it, but yeah, I kind of do. I'd like it more in sort of a gunmetal color with the carbon accents, but the contrast looks good too. If you add all those things together, like I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of little things, a lot of little upgrades that lead to sort of a big picture result, then I think this car does make sense because it's a Lexus. You could take it to the track, as it says in the name. You could utterly beat on it and then drive it home again, and it would continue to work. And it wouldn't vomit its oil all over the garage floor the next day. Like,
the Germans.
It would just continue to work time after time after time. And if you could only have one car and you're trying to get kind of the best of all worlds, I mean, this car has like a sizable trunk. You could take your spouse on a nice trip, throw some bags in the back, put it in normal mode, and drive 4, 5, 6, 7 hours and not think twice about it. Then I think, yeah, this car does make sense in that usage case. Now, if you're looking for ultimate max performance versus like the brand new M3 and M4, I haven't driven them yet because the Germans don't love me enough. Maybe I make too much fun of them, I don't know. But like, you know, if you want to see me drive some German cars, like comment down below, give Jax the German cars, please. German cars, German brands. I want to drive your cars. I'll do right by them. I'll stop making fun of them, mostly. In that case, no, it's not worth $100,000. It's not quite as insane or sharp or, you know, precise as those cars, well, seem to be. The early reviews on the M3 and the M4 are pretty stellar, but that car is apocalyptically ugly. I would say that this car, weirdly, when the RC first came out, I was like, that's an ugly car. It's like good now. when did that happen? Like in this trim with all this extreme stuff, it like works. Like you put all this kind of extreme stuff, you know, door sills, big wing, all this stuff on another car, it doesn't work. On this car, it works. And I don't really know why. And that's sort of this car in a nutshell. I don't really know why, but it does. Also, the sun has just exploded behind me. I've reached my sunset spot at precisely the right time. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you like this sort of more driver-focused review. I really want the channel to be experiential. I want it to be kind of like a conversation, but I also want you to get from it like what it's like to live with these cars, you know, what it's like to experience them. So let me know in the comments if you sort of preferred this format or if you didn't. I enjoy the feedback and I really appreciate it, just like I really appreciate you guys watching. So if you like this video, please consider giving it a like. It really does make a big difference in the algorithm. Please consider subscribing, definitely consider ringing the bell, and who knows, maybe I'll bring you some more videos in this sort of format. Tasty B-roll with some driving being the main focus. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you in the next video. Until then, don't forget to ride safe, drive safe. I'll see you soon.